Another week, another update from Asobo Studios on the new Microsoft Flight Simulator. Excitement continues to run high for this title, despite there being no firm release date. And yes, I've seen those comments in my recent videos that are frustratingly demanding Microsoft to hurry up and release already. For most though, me included, any new information is appreciated as we eagerly await the release date. The downside about all of this, of course, is that due to the current situation with the virus, Microsoft and Asobo have had to slow down the release of information. And that means that this week's episodes of the Feature Discovery series, which was set to focus on multiplayer, has been postponed. For now, there's no new date on just when this information will arrive, but personally I'm not expecting to see it anytime soon. In fact, let's take a look at the current info release schedule for Flight Simulator. Now do keep in mind that these postponed dates, all the stuff that is being delayed, purely is community updates. As yet, we've heard no information that the game itself has been delayed in any way whatsoever, so hopefully there's no delays going on there. But at any rate, we can see here that all things that have been postponed, and this includes Episode 8, just as mentioned above, the one on multiplayer, but it also includes Episode 7, which was set to focus on instrument flight rules. The development roadmap for April and May has been also postponed, as has the Partnership Series update and the latest feedback snapshot. Now, Episodes 7 and 8, as well as the roadmap and Partnership Series, are all stated with a will be released tag, so that means that they should be coming. The feedback snapshot, however, is absent that tag. However, that may not actually mean anything. For now then, it's a case of waiting to see when those updates and when those things actually arrive. Hopefully it's not too long, but really, and most importantly, is that all the developers and workers at both Asobo and Microsoft remain safe. Elsewhere, Microsoft discussed the build notes for the upcoming new Alpha update. A few highlights here are that they have now added groups to multiplayer. The multiplayer edition should also allow simmers to add friends and find them on the world map, so a nice touch there, something I'm very keen to try out. Now, training missions have also been added for those who are new to flight sims, and the Cessna 152 has also been added as well. There's also an interesting note about live events. Now, these appear to be activities that Microsoft can add in and swap out as they desire. There's no real information, however, on just what these live events may entail, but either way, it's certainly another indication that Microsoft view Flight Simulator as a live service. Finally, a bunch of plane-specific updates have been added, which you can see on the screen right now. Beyond all that though, I suspect there's still a whole ton of you waiting to get an invite into the ongoing alpha builds. Microsoft did talk about that a bit, but they avoided mentioning specific dates or indeed any form of timetable. My personal impression is that the current situation has hit their original production schedule, but despite that, they are managing to continue with plans, albeit at maybe a different pace. Whether that's an accelerated pace or a slower pace, I guess we'll have to see, or may never even actually know. After all, we don't really know their internal roadmap. But at any rate, they did bring these three key points to attention, which are as follows. So number one was to ensure that everyone that received an acceptance email has access to the alpha. So I've heard that this is still an issue for some people, although somewhat less of an issue than it was a few weeks back. But if any of you have been invited into the alpha but still haven't actually been given access, do let us know in the comments section. I'm interested to know if this is still much of an issue at this point. Hopefully it isn't. Now, number two from Microsoft is to ensure that those who registered early for pre-release build testing have access to the alpha. Now, this is one that I find really interesting, as I'm curious to know what Microsoft consider early. The initial registrations for Flight Simulator Alpha opened in September of last year. One interpretation that I've seen people have with this is that some people feel that Microsoft might be processing applications in date order. Now, I'm not convinced of that myself, however, but in either event, I'm more interested in the timeframe that Microsoft consider to be those that registered early for pre-release. How long after September does the early registration period extend? Depending on how long this is, it could be quite possible that over the next few weeks, a lot of people see that invite arriving in their mailbox. Number three, assess alpha participation options for adding more people as quickly as possible. Now again, this seems to suggest that Microsoft want to ramp up the speed at which they're inviting people into alpha, Not only is this a good sign for those interested in getting involved, but I also feel that it's a good sign for the overall development itself. I'm really hoping that the sim is still on schedule for this year. All understandable issues aside, it would certainly be very nice to see Flight Simulator arrive sooner rather than later. All that said though, do keep an eye out for more videos on Flight Simulator from me over the coming weeks. I have a few interesting ones planned. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.